Hey guys, so now that we are wrapping up the DB celebration, where we got the Legends Limited Demon King Piccolo and Legends Limited Kid Goku, I do want to do a video talking about how I thought the Legends team did in their restructuring of the way that they want to design characters moving forward. We did have this newsletter drop. This is at the end of March, I think. The last day of March it dropped. Yeah, March 31st. And essentially it was Super Saiyan 4 Goku dropped, and then like the next day they dropped this letter and they're like, yeah, we're gonna change the way we design characters. Like, okay, you guys waited literally until right after Super Saiyan 4 Goku to round out Daima to be the just absolute cancerous tumor that it is to do this. I see you. All right, so obviously I'm not going to go through this whole entire newsletter here, but the gist of what they were trying to get at is characters are doing too many things. There's no more distinct roles between characters. Every character is pretty much performing every single role. They want characters to be unique in what they're trying to do. They want characters to have specified roles, and they want to go back to the basics and essentially go back to the way that Legends used to feel, where you didn't have, 400-year-long combos and all this nonsense. So that is their goal with this update. Now, there are a few parts of this newsletter that I really do want to highlight before we jump in and talk about the characters that we got here. I don't remember exactly where it was. I think it was here. I think out of everything they talked about in the Legends, I actually did reread through this right before hitting the record button for this video to refamiliarize myself with everything they discussed in here. But I think the most important thing about this entire newsletter, at least in terms of like playing PvP and how it feels to play the game, probably is this section right here. Adjustments to disruption and recovery abilities. The limit on sustained damage cut effects was one of the causes for the increase in disruption and recovery abilities, and so it has been removed. Damage cut effects will now be called damage guard. No changes will be made to how they function. So essentially the way damage guard works, it is the same exact way that sustained damage cut works, just a different name. Did they really need to do this? No. I do think damage guard makes more sense as a phrase to convey the meaning of what this mechanic is. But I don't think they needed to change this. But I mean, it's sure for like a new player coming in, I think damage guard sounds a little bit better. We plan. This is probably the single most important sentence in the entire newsletter. We plan to gradually reduce excessive disruption and recovery abilities in future characters, making up for the difference with more fundamental abilities. Okay, it sounds good. I have no issues with this. All right, and then it says, starting in April, so this is obviously, this means the DB celebration we just had. I am looking at this newsletter a month later. I'm recording this video on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So this is obviously referring to, the DB celebration we just had. So we can retroactively look at what they're talking about here and judge them on how well they actually executed this. Starting in April, characters will have greatly increased values for effects like inflicted damage up and damage guard, previously sustained damage cut, but their overall power will not be drastically stronger compared to existing characters. Okay, so those are just the few parts I wanted to highlight here. This section, adjustments to disruption and recovery abilities. I think this is probably the most important section in the newsletter because this really is the core of what was the problem with the game, and honestly still is the problem with the game. When you take a look at the Daima team, which I think everybody would agree is the biggest problem right now, the biggest assets that Daima has over other teams that are still like Hybrids, I think is still a good team. Future is still a good team. I think Vegeta Clan is a solid team. Buu Saga is a solid team. Like, the one thing that Daima has that is like far superior to any of those other teams is just the ridiculous amount of disrupt, right? You have Majin Buu, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Majin Ku, and as good offensively as Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is, I would actually say he has some pretty solid disruption abilities as well. So like just across the board on this Daima team, and don't forget Tamagami number 3 also sort of fits into that discussion as well with his disrupt. There's an overwhelming amount of disrupt on the Daima team, and then they have the offensive power to back it up. So that is the difference between, I think, Daima and the rest of the game. So if we take a look at the actual DB tag here, we started the month off with Cyborg Tao, who was the April Fool's free-to-play character. And then we got the Legends Limited Demon King Piccolo, who released next to the 1% Sparking Tambourine. We ended up getting... it was unique equips for the 23rd World Tournament Piccolo Jr. and the 23rd World Tournament Goku. We got Zenkais for Wasteland Bandit Yamcha, a Zenkai for launch. And then at the end of the month, we just a few days ago got the Legends Limited Kid Goku and 1% Sparking Jackie Chun banner. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through all of these characters that we got, and I'll give it a score at the end, probably. But I'll kind of talk briefly about each of these characters and how I think they did with them. So the real first character we got that encompassed some of this new philosophy for design is actually Cyborg Tao. This is actually, I think, one of the better characters they've released. It's crazy. That's like, I don't mean better in terms of like he's dominating the meta or anything. I just mean like his design is, I think, something they can take a look at as a frame of reference moving forward for future characters. Even as a free-to-play character, I really do think they nailed the design on the Cyborg Tao. He's not overly oppressive. He's a fun character. A lot of it is based on RNG, but it's not RNG that is harmful or toxic or hurtful to the opponent, the person who's fighting this character, right? It's just, how many ultimates are you going to draw? You don't know, your opponent doesn't know. It kind of is a grab bag once you've used the second ultimate. Are you going to end up drawing a third one? What about a fourth one? What about a fifth one? But other than that, his basic abilities, I don't really think he's bringing anything too toxic to the table. He's got some decent sub count reduction when he gets hit. He's got very short cover null. That's kind of their new mantra with cover null. They don't want to overdo it, right? They released Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who essentially has unlimited cover null, and then they're like, okay, well, everything after this guy is going to have 0 cover null. So that's what they've been doing with these characters. But I actually really don't have any issues with Cyborg Tao. I think he's probably one of the better releases of the entire year, just speaking completely honestly. All right, so now we're going to move on to, I think the next character was Wasteland Bandit Yamcha, the Zenkai. The only reason why I'm even talking about these Zenkais is because I think it's fair game to compare how they did this monthly DB celebration to the monthly Daima celebration, right? We had literally it is Daima in March, the full, I guess besides Cell, right? Cell kind of released the first week of March, but almost the entirety of March was dedicated to building up and having Daima just be dominant in March. And then April, we had the same exact thing for DB. So it's a pretty fair comparison, 2 months in a row of them doing the same exact tag-centered celebration for Daima and then DB. So looking at Daima, I mean, Daima got that green Daima Goku Zenkai. And just looking at, but I can probably just talk about launch at the same time here, but just lumping Yamcha and launch into the discussion, there is not even a competition between Yamcha and launch when compared to that green Daima Goku. That green Daima Goku legitimately, I mean, I used him exclusively almost in Proud last season when I got rank 2 in PvP last season. That Daima Goku, I unironically think you probably could have him as high as like top 3 in the entire game in Proud. He's that good. And when we're talking about 1% Zenkais, typically we usually are talking about Proud, because when you go into Standard, you usually 1% Zenkais are not enough to make the cut into the main lineup. But even in Proud, like, you know, you use Yamcha, you use Launch, you're just gonna get crushed. It's like not even, they can't even hold their own. I think there's gonna be instances in certain niche situations where Yamcha or Launch could help, for sure. But the reason why they clearly Zenkai these characters is to help buff the 23rd World Tournament characters. So I really don't think they did a very good job with Launch or Yamcha, because when you're looking at a team with DB here, I probably should have actually started the video talking about this, but I think it actually was fundamentally speaking, just like from a theoretical standpoint, it was a very good decision. If they're going to have a brand new design philosophy for characters moving forward, I think it is a very good decision to do this with DB. Right? Regardless of what people think, I think it is a very good decision. And why is it a good decision? Because you're essentially entering April with a clean slate. DB does not exist at all, right? You cut out everything you see from the left of left of Bulma, actually. So Cyborg Tao onwards, you cut all these characters out of this roster here. DB is a non-existent team. Like this is the DB tag going into the celebration. 0 usable characters, 0. So you're going in with a fresh, clean slate. You have a blank canvas going into this. So there's no better scenario. Like this is literally a perfect situation for them. You jump into April. If you jump into April, do this celebration, and you leave April with a underwhelming, not well-designed team, that is 100. We probably, until this game dies, we are probably never going to see another situation where we could see as clearly a representation of how competent the development team is than at the end of April right now at the beginning of May. Like how did they do on this assignment? We're never going to get a more clear. This is essentially in a like we're looking at this in a vacuum. How competent is the development team in a vacuum? This is exactly how competent they are by taking a look at this, because they're literally starting with 0. They're building a team from nothing. So we've had example A with Daima, and now we have example B with DB, because both teams basically started with nothing. But I would even argue that DB started off with even less than Daima, because at least Daima had Tamagami 3 and the red Super Saiyan Goku. DB literally had nothing. And they also had the green Goku for Daima too. But yeah, so they literally had nothing for DB. So, you know. All right, so Cyborg Tao I thought was good. Wasteland Bandit, Yamcha Zenkai bad. Launch Zenkai bad. Then we had the Demon King Piccolo banner. I think I'll start with Tambourine here. So Tambourine, I actually think is pretty good. I don't really have any major issues or concerns with Tambourine. The only thing is I don't know how well he actually fits on the DB team. Like I think I've been doing some testing with a bunch of these characters. I am leaning towards the best build for this team. I'm not 100% set on it yet. It's a very weird build, but I think the best build for this team is actually Demon King Piccolo, Kid Goku, and Jackie Chun, I think. It is a strange team. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this, because I'll talk about this in a separate video where I actually showcase that team off. You have 0 Zenkai buffers on that team. It's like it's not ideal. But Tambourine, I feel like this is a character where, like, if this guy was a Daima character, he would be insane. Like, this guy, you actually just Majin Do, you just like swap Tambourine. I think if you swap Tambourine's like if you just did this, if you Control C all of this and then Control V it into Majin Do and then do the same thing from Majin Do to Tambourine, like, this guy is insane on Daima, I think. And then I think Majin Do, you take his kit, Control C, Control V into Tambourine. I think there's actually like an argument that DB could be significantly better like that. Tambourine, I actually, again, I'm a fan of the character. He's like the first character to really introduce like the deaths of main characters in Dragon Ball. I think he's a good unit. I just don't think he really fits the goal of what DB wants to do. So Demon King Piccolo. This is a character that I have been waiting for 7 years for, either an LF or an Ultra, and hopefully one day we will get the Ultra version of this character. I actually kind of find this guy a little bit hard to evaluate, and the reason why I say this is because he does serve a very important function on the DB team. This is very strong. Where is it? This is very, very strong. Rising Rush activation. You draw a full hand of cards so you can, have like a better chance of not getting guessed. Heals himself, does extra damage, uncancelable endurance null, gives himself more Dragon Balls, lowers ally subcounts, you can switch out as soon as you rush them, and then reducing enemy Dragon Balls by 3 is really, really powerful. And his Rising Rush, it hits for like 12, 13, 14, 15 million damage. He's type neutral because he's going to get the gauge up as well. So yeah, this guy, this ability here is actually really crazy unless you get guessed. If you get guessed, if your Rising Rush gets guessed with Demon King Piccolo, he's the worst LF ever released. I am 100% confident in saying this. If your Rising Rush gets guessed with this character, he serves 0 purpose and he's the worst LF of all time. Because outside of this mechanic, which again is very strong, outside of this, he's really not doing much. He doesn't have good defense. He doesn't have good disrupt. He doesn't really have good damage. The only thing I'll say is that his blue card is actually very good. I think people just kind of look at this guy and they don't really... I would assume most people didn't summon for him, and most people probably haven't even fought against him. So I think when people generally talk about this Demon King Piccolo, they don't really have experience using him or fighting against him. But this does a lot of damage. You have your full gauge up, you go in type neutral, you use this blue card. I've one-shot Majin Ku's at like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stars with just this blue card from full HP. This blue card is very powerful. And on top of that, it's also killing a Dragon Ball. Unfortunately, it's only one time. I don't know why they did that. But if it's up to me, there's a few changes I would make to this character. The first thing I would do for sure, that's like, it's super obvious. I have no clue why this doesn't exist. This needs to be team-wide. Protect Dragon Balls, 50 counts. Why is this only applied to him? This is a character that's designed to be swapped in, use a few cards, swap out. He's that kind of character. Swap in, Rising Rush. There's a reason why he has this. There's a reason why he's lowering ally sub count by 10 on the Rising Rush. So that you can get the hell out of there. Because you don't want to be swapped in with this character. So the fact that this exists for only himself, I don't want to call it worthless because it isn't completely worthless, but this is very close to worthless right here. This needs to be team-wide. And then the second thing I would have done is get rid of this, make his rush unguessable. Just don't have the guessing phase for this Rising Rush. Because again, I'll reiterate, if his Rising Rush gets guessed, he is terrible. He's not underwhelming. He's like, oh, you should have been better. No, he's bad. He's straight up bad. If your Rising Rush gets guessed with this character, he serves no purpose. Zero. So I would have done that. And then something else I would have done, which is a common theme that I will be talking about in this video. And I don't even know how long. We're already pretty deep into this video at this point. But there's a reason why I talked about this before jumping into the evaluations of these characters. It's this. We plan to... I wish I had like a pen up that I could circle this. Gradually. We plan to gradually reduce excessive disruption and recovery abilities in future characters. Do you guys think this character... So again, let me just paint the picture here of what happened in the past 6 weeks in this game. We got Majin Ku, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Majin Do. Okay? Do you guys know what this guy does? Look at this. Applies... Wait, hold on. It's not that. I gotta find where this is. Yeah. Following effects occur when this character enters the battlefield. There is a tag Daima other than this character as a battle member. Destroys one enemy card. Reduces enemy key by 30. Applies the following effects to enemy when changing cover twice. Destroys 2 cards. Reduce key by 50. And then also... Dude, there's actually so much. I have to Control F to find all of his disrupt effects. Following effects occur every time when hit with an enemy's art stack while this character is in the battlefield. Seals all enemies' main abilities. And then where's the... Yeah, inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade -1 card draw speed, +5 all arts costs. Okay? So he's doing -1 card draw speed, +5 arts cost, sealing main abilities, paralyzing the opponent, just deleting the opponent's key by 80, and then deleting 3 cards. Okay? That's what Majin Ku is doing. And it's not like it's just Majin Ku. Like, this guy's lowering key, obscuring your hand, paralyzing you. This guy, I mean, do I even have to go into what this guy does defensively and from a disruption standpoint? He's literally he literally reduces the amount of slots in your hand by 1. Come on. This guy, you want to know what his disrupt is? On battlefield entry, destroys 1 enemy card. Okay, destroys 1 enemy card. And then I believe he's also increasing the cost. Let me see. Yeah, here. When hit by an enemy's arts 1 time, enemy strike/blast arts cost +10. And then if unique gauge is full, he's increasing the cost by 10. That's it. 1 card +20 to cost for 5 counts. Compared to paralyzing the opponent, sealing main ability, increasing cost by 5, lowering your card draw speed, deleting 3 cards, lowering key by 80. What do you guys think? Is that what you would call, where is this? Is that what you would call gradually? Is that gradual? I mean, if this is gradually, we're just gonna have characters moving forward that have literally 0 disrupt. They're not even gonna have this. They're gonna have nothing. If this is their definition of gradually. Also, one other thing I do want to point out as well is in the letter here. Let's see. Starting in April, characters will have greatly increased values for effects like inflicted damage up. Greatly increased values for effects like inflicted damage up. Huh. Starting in April. Am I missing something here? Summons. Okay, so this guy released in March. And Demon King, he released in April. So starting in April, we're going to have characters with greatly increased damage. 270, 280. This guy came out in March. Oh, and he's also getting this. What if I just control F damage? Special move damage. 30% damage. And then what if we do the same thing here? He gets damage of the Dragon Ball when he's on the battlefield. So even if you if you gain a dragon, this is actually insane. Like, this just shows you how little of a brain they have. When this guy's on standby and you gain a Dragon Ball, like let's just say you're on the battlefield with like Tambourine, right? Tambourine gains a Dragon Ball because Tambourine's entire kit is based around getting Dragon Balls. If Tambourine collects a Dragon Ball on the battlefield and then you swap to DKP, he's not going to have this because you didn't gain the Dragon Ball when he's on the battlefield. Yeah, this is good. Why the hell is this a mechanic on this character? What is this? What even is this? So yeah, explain to me what this means. Explain this one to me. I don't get it. I'm missing something here. I must be missing something here. So yeah, I think they just didn't really understand what they were doing with this character. Again, but it's not like... I actually don't want to put him in the same discussion as Super Vegeta, because when Super Vegeta dropped, like, I didn't know what his purpose was. I don't think anybody did. He didn't have a clear purpose, at least with DKP. Again, he has a very strong ability here. This is really strong. I as much as I would like for him to be better, this is actually really strong, but it's at the end of the day a 25% chance that he's the worst LF ever. If he gets guessed, this should have just been guaranteed. All right, so that's my thoughts on DKP. Let's go back to the DB tag here. Then we had the equipment for the 23rd World Tournament characters. I'm not really going to spend too much time on this because this is not really like new character stuff. These are more so just buffing characters. I actually think they did a decent job with these guys' equipments. I don't really have any major issues here. They were both actually pretty good. I think they're usable for sure in PvP. So I don't really have any issues here. I wouldn't really say I would even want more from the equips. I think they're fine. Just the equipment system of the game is terrible, but the equips themselves are fine here. Then we have the LF Kid Goku and Jackie Chun. I think Jackie Chun is actually very good. Jackie Chun is like the only real disrupt this team actually has. So that's why I think it's like you must run him. Like, I think you actually have to run Jackie Chun. Otherwise, you are just simply... What was the exact phrase they used in the newsletter? This is also something I want to point out. In the current meta, if you were to build a party around a character who was given 200% damage guard in exchange for having little to no combo stopping capability, it is possible you would never be able to stop your opponent's combo. We expect you would simply lose after spending 180 timer counts being comboed by your opponent. What in blue hell do you think happens with this DB team? I mean, I have multiple videos uploaded where I am getting comboed for 50, 60, 70, 80 counts straight by Majin Buu Saga teams, by Daima teams, by Hybrid Saiyans. This team has basically zero disrupt. So you really need to run this guy. But I think the main, like, honestly, first of all, I don't even, like, why is this too, like, this is not even too, like, Kid Goku should have had this 200% damage guard. Demon King Piccolo should have had 200, like, why? They explained to us how damage guard works. It's simply just canceling out the inflicted damage buffs a character has. We have characters that are entering the battlefield with like 380% damage. Why is 200% too high? It's not. Spoiler alert, it's not too high. Why does Demon King Piccolo have 100? This is pathetic. 130% damage guard is like, it might as well be 0. Like, it's just so low. But this is, I mean, they literally described what they did. This is exactly what this is. I'm actually kind of, did they do this on purpose? Like, it's almost comedic how they mentioned this in the newsletter, and then they literally just did this to the DB team. You get touched by Majin Buu Saga, you get comboed for half the match. And then what actually ends up happening most of the time is the team actually relatively is fairly tanky. So you survive it, and especially if you're running this 23 World Tournament Goku who's healing you so much. He's one of the characters that I'm not sure if makes like the main lineup. He's just, I feel like he's just like so helpful in terms of surviving because of the healing. What happens most of the time is you end up not dying, and almost every match just goes to timer. But you also end up not doing damage because you can't, because you have no way to combo. So I don't know, but this, I find this to be actually just like almost insulting in a way, because this is actually what the DB team, this is actually what happens to them. It is possible, it's not possible, it literally happens already. You would never be able to stop your opponent's combo, and you would simply lose after spending 180 timer counts being, this is what happens. You said this, and then you did the opposite. So the entire point of this video that I'm trying to get at here, the entire point of this video is they actually put together a pretty good newsletter, right? Everything, if you read through this, everything reads very nicely. Okay, we want to have characters that are unique. We want them to fulfill specific roles on the teams. We don't want certain characters to do everything. We want to limit long combos. We want to do this. We want to go back to the roots of the game. It sounds very good. And I'm on board. I'm still on board with everything they want to accomplish in this newsletter. The problem is they are not doing what they said. They are not gradually reducing excessive disruption. It went from 100 to 0. Right? And so because of this, because of their failure to execute this, this is the most important word in the entire newsletter. Because of their failure to execute the gradual reduction in excessive disruption, the problem that they stated in the summary is happening right now to DB. So they said one thing, but they just did something else. So I'm not sure what's going on here. And just to finish up the evaluation of the character, I think Jackie Chun is actually very good. I do really like Jackie Chun. I'm not really a huge fan of auto counters. I think auto counters just should never have existed as a mechanic. But Jackie Chun is probably one of my more favorite 1% Sparkings. And they've done a really good job, to be fair, with 1% Sparkings this entire year. You could probably just point, like, almost single out Android 18 as being like the only underwhelming 1% Sparking this year. But every other 1% Sparking this year has been really on point with how good they've been. Jackie Chun is very, very good. I think he actually makes core DB. And then Kid Goku, I think he's solid. My only issue with Kid Goku is that he's just very boring. There is nothing unique and interesting about this character. Again, they mentioned they want to do, we want characters to have their own identities. We want this and that and this and that. This is insulting to me. When there is at least one other tag DB ally battle member, 20% damage, 10% damage guard, that's the best we can do. This is, you spent like weeks developing this character and this is the best you can think of. Just, let's give him higher numbers, George. Like, what is this? Give him another paragraph, give him another section here when there are 2 other tag DB ally battle members. Give him something like at least semi-interesting. Like he's gonna, when he switches to standby, he's going to cleanse attribute downgrades and normal conditions from the whole team or something. That's not that hard to do. It's making him really, really good on DB. That's actually something I really liked what they did with Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Is they made Super Saiyan 4 Goku like a pretty solid option on Sun Family and Saiyans, right? With the with some of the stuff here with the indestructible and then the sub count reduction, right? I thought that was actually really good. But it's restricted to Daima because they want you to run this character on Daima. Right? Make him stronger on the team he's supposed to be ran on. They did the same thing with Kid Goku, but like, who cares? 20% damage? Like, who cares? Give him an interesting mechanic when you run him on DB. Give us a reason to run the team. Like, what? This should just be in the base kit. Oh my god, thank you, Tani. 160% damage guard. We're unkillable now, boys. Like, no, this should be 200% anyway. This should be, people are gonna jump out of their seats when this should be like 400% damage. People are gonna jump out of their seats when they hear that. But if you're gonna make characters like this that don't have disrupt, don't have a lot of these modern mechanics that like Majin Vegeta had in October, the only way you're gonna have these characters be competitive with the best units is you got to give them just high numbers, right? It's the Blue Beast Gohan treatment. But obviously, I don't want to go all the way overboard with it. 350 here, 380 here, something like that. I think this guy already does a lot of damage, but if they're gonna make these like characters like this is essentially what this character is it's like, instead of very well seasoned food, like imagine a chef is preparing a main course, and instead of seasoning it, it's bland, but it's like 3 plates big. It's like a huge portion. That's what this Goku is. They didn't really do much for this character outside of just giving him big numbers. That's literally what this character is. His blue card is really hard. There's a lot of strike damage. But that's really it. I mean, I don't really have a major issue with the way he's balanced. I just think he's a boring character. And I'm a huge Kid Goku fan. So it makes me like, the Demon King Piccolo saga is one of my favorite sagas in all of Dragon Ball. Like, not just OG, like in literally all the entire of like it throughout DB, DBZ, GT, and Super. The Demon King Piccolo saga is like a top 3 of one of my top 3 favorite sagas. So to have this guy be kind of boring, and then to have Demon King Piccolo be like almost a complete failure in every way, it's kind of frustrating for me. It is. I understand this is their first go at trying out the new design philosophy, but like I said at the beginning of this video, they are going into April, or they went into April with a blank canvas. There might have been some failure in testing. Oh, we didn't tune the numbers well enough. I don't think that's the case. I think they just don't know what they are doing. Right? This is the best example. This is the best possible we're ever gonna get, because unless we get another DB campaign, like in like 3 years or something, and let's just say they haven't touched DB in like 3 years. Okay, at that point, yeah, we can have another blank canvas. but there's almost never a time in this game where a team is so old and so bad that there are 0 usable characters on the team going into a celebration around that team. So they had nothing. They started with again, an artist is about to paint a painting. Okay? An artist is about to paint a painting. And that's my analogy for the development team designing this DB tag. They're about to start the painting. They miss the they take their paintbrush and they literally miss the canvas. They didn't like paint a bad picture or like their lines weren't straight or anything. They literally just missed the canvas. Because they planned, right? Let me go back to the newsletter. I'm running out of confusing these tabs now. Their plan was, okay, let's slowly shift to this new design philosophy. Let's gradually get to this new design philosophy so that this problem doesn't happen. Oh no, we just completely ignored ourselves and we just went from 100 to 0 and now this problem is happening. So I cannot in good faith give this celebration and give how they've handled this new approach a good score. I can give individual character scores here, right? Like Cyborg Tao actually give like I think this is good character, good design, free character. Everything about this character I think is good. The Zenkais for Yamcha and Launch, bad. Demon King Piccolo, bad. Tambourine, good. Kid Goku, I'd say mediocre. He's in terms of actual balance, he's good, but he's just so boring. Jackie Chun, good. So overall, not a very good score. I don't think they did very well here. So I don't understand them giving us a newsletter like this. It almost kind of feels like they're bribing us. Like, oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and everything's gonna be so much better. And then they just don't do what they're talking. Like they release this and then they just don't do it. Right? I don't know what else. How else do you want me to explain it? I can't. How else do you want me to explain this? That's exactly what they did. They're like, oh guys, we're gonna gradually reduce this. Don't worry. The characters in April, they're gonna have much higher damage numbers. And then they just didn't do that. So I don't know. I don't think this is off to a very good start here, this new design philosophy. I do think the anniversary will be good. I think, I've seen some people, oh, is the anniversary now not going to be as good as it needs to be? I would hope. Please, I'm praying to God, man, that they at least nail anniversary. I think we're going to see some cool stuff for anniversary. There's going to be some new mechanics and all that good stuff. So I'm not really super worried about it. But as a Dragon Ball enjoyer, a team that only gets buffed once every 2 years, this is kind of disappointing to me. And I don't think they capitalized on what they said they were going to do with this newsletter. So as a conclusion of this video, the new design philosophy I don't think is going well so far, but I think the true test is going to be how they handle the anniversary characters. So let me know what you guys think down below. This is, I think a pretty divisive topic, but I think most people would agree that the DB team is not as good as it should be. So I'll see you guys in the next one.